we took over this small garden. It's just under 500 square meters located in Lower Austria. A small allotment property with a summer house. Simple, quiet, full of potential. Right now, it doesn't look like much. There are overgrown areas, old structures, and a lot of work ahead of us. But this is where everything starts. This is the first video in our Let's Do Gardening series. Thanks for being part of the journey. The first emotion is hard to describe. It's a mix of excitement and respect. Excitement because this space can become something meaningful, and respect because we know how much effort it will take. You look at the empty areas and already imagine raised beds. You see the house and picture summer evenings. It's not perfect, but it's ours now. Our long-term goal is self-sufficiency. Not complete independence from everything, but more control over what we eat. We want to know where our food comes from, how it was grown, how it was treated. We want vegetables in real organic quality, grown by our own hands. The garden isn't completely empty. There are already 3 raised beds here. One of them is built from bricks, solid, heavy, and long-lasting. The other 2 are wooden constructions. Inside, they are lined with bubble foil for moisture protection. There's a wire mesh installed, most likely to protect against rodents. They even include a basic irrigation system. However, the irrigation lines themselves are missing. Only the main connection point remains, so this will need to be replaced and properly installed again. Our plan is to refill these 2 wooden beds with fresh compost. Good compost, properly layered. In early summer, we'll use them for our pre-grown vegetables. These beds will give us a head start. They're not perfect yet, but they are a foundation. And that's how this garden will grow. Not from nothing, but from what is already here, improved step by step. We'll start with raised beds. Some will be metal, ready-made systems. Others, we plan to build ourselves from wood, and share the exact process so you can build them too. This garden will slowly turn into a structured growing space. The connection between garden and kitchen is important to us. Everything we grow here will eventually end up on our table. This is where gardening meets cooking. And that's why this series belongs here, on Let's Do Cooking, because real cooking starts long before the pan. Chickens are also part of the vision. We're interested in breeds like Araucana, Brahma, Ayam Cemani, Marans, and even guinea fowl. But nothing is decided yet. The number of chickens determines the size of the coop and enclosure, and we want to do it properly. First come the garden beds, then the soil, then structure. Only later, the chickens. I also discovered a stepped herb bed in one corner of the garden. At first glance, it looks like it hasn't been maintained for quite some time. The structure itself seems unstable, and overall, it's in rather poor condition. We're currently considering removing it and replacing it with one large raised bed instead, something more practical and easier to manage. The only plant we can clearly identify is Moroccan mint. Everything else is harder to recognize. There are plants growing there, but without leaves or clear structure, it's difficult to say what they are. Maybe some of you can help us identify what's still growing here? It would be interesting to know if there's something worth saving before we rebuild this space. So if you know, then please leave us a comment. Sometimes a garden hides small surprises, and sometimes it asks for a fresh start. There are also several trees on the property. So far, we've clearly identified a walnut tree and a fig tree. The rest still needs to be identified. Some of them look mature, but we'll have to wait for the seasons to change to understand what exactly is growing here. We're also planning to bring some of our own trees here. 2 peach trees that are currently growing on our balcony will be transplanted into the garden. In addition, we plan to plant 2 newly purchased trees in spring, an apple tree and a cherry tree. Our currants, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries will also move from the balcony to this garden. They've done well in containers, but here, they'll finally have space to grow properly. We'll take you with us during the transplanting process, and over time, you'll see how these plants adapt, grow, and hopefully thrive in their new home. A garden is not built for one season, it's built for years. The garden house is unfortunately in poor condition. At minimum, the roof needs to be replaced. The garden house also needs more attention than we first thought. It's not just the roof that has to be replaced. There are visible signs of moisture, and parts of the wood don't look healthy anymore. The structure itself needs to be carefully evaluated before we decide what to do next. We've been asking ourselves a few questions. Should we simply repaint it? Replace parts of the wood, or rethink certain areas completely? We've even considered using the right side of the house as a future chicken coop. It could make sense structurally, but it would need proper preparation and security, and we want to do it right. What do you think? Restore it carefully, or rebuild parts of it properly from scratch? Sometimes renovation is not about fixing what's broken. It's about deciding what this place should become. What we're missing right now is soil and compost. We're currently comparing suppliers for big bag deliveries. Good soil is not an expense, it's an investment. We also discovered existing currant bushes here, red currants, already established in the garden. It was a nice surprise. We're planning to move our balcony currants here as well, so they can grow together in one dedicated berry area. And this is the fig tree. It's already quite mature, but it definitely needs some pruning. We're currently unsure about the best timing for that. If anyone here has experience with fig trees, when is the ideal moment to cut them back properly? The terrace tiles are broken. The wooden posts of the roof structure were mounted directly onto those damaged tiles, not properly anchored. So the terrace roof will have to come down, new tiles need to be laid, and then the structure rebuilt correctly. There's also a built-in brick grill on the property. At the moment, it needs attention. It hasn't been properly maintained, and it will have to be restored before we can use it safely. But once it's back in shape, it will become part of this entire project. Grilled vegetables from the garden, meat prepared outside, over real heat, simple food, cooked slowly. This is where gardening and cooking meet in the most direct way. Food grown here, prepared here, shared here, And of course, this will also become part of Let's Do Cooking, because growing food is only half the story, preparing it is the other half. So let's do gardening. Of course, there's also the reality. A large part of the garden is surrounded by old thuja trees. Many of them need to be removed, including root systems. This might even require a small excavator. The costs are still unclear. To make it easier to understand where this is heading, we created a simple layout of how the garden could look one day. This is not final. It's a working plan. A direction. We're planning a structured vegetable area with both metal and wooden raised beds. The metal beds for durability and efficiency. The wooden ones, some of them built by us, for flexibility and hands-on DIY projects you can replicate. There will also be a small field section, a more traditional growing space for crops like corn, beans, and potatoes. Not everything has to be raised. Some crops need real ground. A compost area will be established as well. We're already collecting organic kitchen waste, and this will become the foundation of healthy soil in the future. We plan to plant additional trees, fruit trees that will take years to mature. This garden is not just for this season, it's an investment for the future. A greenhouse is also part of the plan. It will extend our growing season and give us more control over seedlings and temperature. And eventually, a proper chicken coop, carefully planned and built to match the number of animals. Nothing rushed, everything thought through. Of course, this won't happen overnight. But this graphic represents the direction. Step by step, this empty space will slowly turn into a productive garden. Not perfect, but intentional. And then there's time. Removing thujas takes time. Preparing all beds takes time. Filling them takes time. Building a chicken coop takes time. This won't happen overnight, but that's exactly the point. We're building this slowly, properly, one step at a time. This is just the beginning, and we're glad you're here for it. Thanks for being here at the start of this project. If you want to follow our garden step by step, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and click the bell for updates on the next part of the series. See you next week.